Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is going to be a little bit different because this is actually going to be a review on what ended Blocksworld. Now if you don't know what Blocksworld is, it was a 3D sandbox game that was on mobile apps and was released in around 2013. Now I joined the game around 2014, so this will be both an account of what I remember and what I just realized was the wiki, which basically is called The Fall of Blocksworld. So I'm going to be taking a little bit of a turn and kind of explain to you what Blocksworld was, what I believe kind of made it collapse, as well as to check the wiki as to see what actually made it collapse. Once again, this will be an account between me and probably just the wiki, just to see what is actually true and what I might have missed. So, let me go back to a simpler time. 2014. I can't really remember what happened or what came out in 2014, other than probably the couple FNAF games, probably like the first and third FNAF games that came out. Blocksworld was a newly released game that basically was kind of like Legos. Like I said, it was a 3D sandbox game, and in fact was a game that was basically like Roblox as well. Roblox is a platform where you can create whatever the fuck you want, and that was also Blocksworld, except it was on mobile. And Blocksworld was a pretty good game. A lot of people really liked it for the aspect that you could do whatever the hell you wanted, especially regarding, well, the sandbox aspect. You could make games like ninjas and superheroes and, you know, up their copyrighted content that everyone loved at the time. And honestly, I remember playing the game. It was free to download, and the only way that they gained money was through somewhat of like a builders club kind of thing, where you could buy premium, basic, and all that kind of stuff, and it would give you extra access to bricks, heads, and other stuff that would let you customize your character as well as customize your worlds. I remember at this time the community, probably around 2014 and 2016, was very into FNAF, and it was what I would like to call the golden age of Blocksworld. Blocksworld was a game that everyone really liked, mainly because of the community. The community really liked the FNAF age, and so that was the golden age for us. A lot of good games like Five Nights at Monica's, or probably Five Nights at DDLC, as I can remember the name of it, was really good. A lot of games were very well made on Blocksworld, and it was credited mainly for its basic and simple art style, or like a simple characters. Like it says, it's Blocksworld, and it had blocky characters. It had fucking, like, triangle prism arms or hands for their characters. It had blockheads for them, and it was a very good community. But as time went on, I left in around 2016. I deleted the app, and I came back almost in 2017 to check out what had happened. And oh my god, was it not that good. Blocksworld, from what I remember, had completely changed. Trends were no longer the FNAF aspect, but now were the more basic 7 ways to kill a character kind of game. Which, to me, okay, I guess it was a good trend on Blocksworld, but it wasn't really the best trend. It was also another trend where you could destroy like Freddy from Freddy Fazbear from FNAF and that kind of stuff. As well as some other games that really didn't have too much in it. Very basic games like just shooting something or fighting hordes of zombies was mainly what kind of came after that. Eventually, though, the community, from what I remember, got very toxic. There was a lot of drama wars between really popular creators and many creators that were really good at what they were doing, like really good constructions, really good worlds, really began to leave. I remember one of them either died or left the community. I remember one of their friends actually died. I can't remember the name of the creator, obviously, but I do remember that many people left mainly because of the community now, the game. Many of them had grown up with Blocksworld. Like I said, Blocksworld was in 2013. People who came from 2013 5 years later are not going to be the same people who came from 2013. Like this, at this point, it was like 2018 and 2017, which would mean that if you were a kid, 14 years old in 2013, you were basically in college. You're going to have to get into getting new stuff. You'd have to go to college. You're going to have to study and do all that kind of stuff. You won't have time for Blocksworld. And so the community's veterans began to leave. The ones that actually did a lot of good buildings. Now, from what I read from reviews and maybe from what I remember from my own accounts, was that the Blocksworld community had a lot of new people coming in, people who didn't know how to build, and people who would rather rant about their problems mentally to the community. This wasn't to get, like, people to understand where they're coming from. Mainly it was because of people wanting to get attention at times as well. Now I'm saying real quick, the people who were mentally unwell in the Blocksworld community, I don't want to really bash them too much, or I don't want to really, like, be like, oh my god, they suck cock, right? Because if you are mentally unwell or not in a good space at the moment, I would definitely say, please go get some help. I'm not a therapist, I'm not that kind of person. So the most I would say is to please get help. And definitely do not put your creations of how you feel suicidal in Blocksworld, because it's not the right place, okay? But anyway, definitely what happened was that Blocksworld was becoming more toxic, more people who were mentally unstable came in, and it all just kind of came full circle, especially with the fucking developers as well. As the developers began to really get greedy with how to make money, things like I think it was like 1 day cooldown to make a world, to publish it, really hated, a lot of the developers hated it, because now there was a limit to how many worlds you could create. Now there was a limit to your profits in the game. Now there was a limit to, because you had limited profits actually, you couldn't buy so many things in the marketplace. And so that all kind of just destroyed Blocksworld. And eventually, if I remember correctly, I wanted to say 2020, but I think the end to Blocksworld was actually in 2018, mobile-wise. They cut the plug, basically. You could log into Blocksworld, you can get in, but there would be no games, your profile was practically gone, I think even all your worlds were practically gone, and that was it. Of course, it continued on Steam, but 2020 comes around and they plugged it away from Steam as well. Now, I'm going to read a lot of the stuff from the wiki to kind of get you, to actually give you decent or good information for the last couple of minutes. So, the decline of Blocksworld is the topic here. From 2013 until 2017-ish, Linden Labs continued to see Blocksworld grow, not only as a game, but where you could do anything. Of course, this is completely misspelled, so take all of this with a grain of salt. It became a social platform. Community challenges would be released on weekly/monthly basis, as people who made content, as people who were featured in them could build and base a world off a theme. This was in 2017, and all the contests ended in 2017. The Blocksworld Wars. One of the things that started the decline of Blocksworld were the wars that made up governmental groups would declare on one another and would publish worlds depicting the other groups may have been beaten up with violence. Linden Labs did not actually enforce rules that declared that these worlds were bad. Many people thought this ruined the PG theme of Blocksworld, as it caused way too unnecessary drama. Many people stopped playing due to it. Basically, due to the lack of moderation, and also, like I mentioned previously, drama wars happened. Many people decided to leave. Mature content. Many players had made themselves infamous by uploading adult content to Blocksworld. Linden Labs didn't do anything about it for a long time, but eventually they banned players such as Joey Slick, who I have no idea who he is. So whoever actually wrote the wiki page here, thank you for that. Lack of updates. I think the last update was in 2018. After 2018, Linden Labs stopped updating sets and challenges, which left the community in a state of limbo. The only updates were patches to keep the servers running in small moderation. Even those would end up stopping, and mainly just the support of Blocksworld in of itself. Loss of rights to the My Little Pony and Transformers. Before 2017, MLP and Transformers sets were available to players. These included blocks to make ponies and Transformers. The sets were removed from the shops as Linden lost the rights, which they couldn't renew and had to pay to Hasbro. Which, once again, like I said, copyrighted material, fucking gone, chief. It was no longer even allowed. And because of that, it definitely had an issue with what it was going on. Due to the loss of rights, even I think later many people tried to make homages to Peter Parker, I think, because he got fired or some shit. I can't remember the drama. The Disney stuff, basically. Many people really made games about that. Whether or not those were taken down due to the rights, I don't really know, but it's not really mentioned here, so I'm assuming that they were probably not taken down. Financial issues. Another significant factor to the server shutdown were lack of funds from the app itself. As more players left, and some became inactive with lack of updates, money from players purchasing coins and advertising revenue eventually decreased enough one could speculate that Linden pulled the plug on servers because of this. It also says a lot of legal problems, and down below, something about an MMO cult, which I don't know if it actually existed. I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. The end of Blocksworld. Pay-to-play worlds were an issue. Linden added a new feature in December 2015, which included worlds achieving the elite 2,000 plays or more status or higher to be permanently pay-to-play, which basically means that you had to pay 1 coin, which isn't much, mind you, to get into the game. However, with many people, this didn't really fly. They really like those games, and now, because you're ultimately being punished that these people were, like, because these games are so popular now, whoops, guess they have to pay, right? It was an equivalent to as if Roblox decided to make Jailbreak a 50 Robux game or a 1 Robux pay-to-play game every time, mind you, that you wanted to play the game. It would be a good business, I guess. It would give you a bunch of Robux, but it definitely wouldn't be worth it. So many people decided to really dislike that, and this sparked outrage. 1 world per day and 3 models per day was also a massive issue. This was what I went on about. Firing of Leslie, who was one of the main Lydon employees, which was the nicest apparently. Linden kept him around only to keep Blocksworld from being hacked or flocked by adult users. But as Blocksworld became more and more unpopular, Linden Labs laid off Leslie. This was a mistake as he was the only person who could fix. Okay, apparently Leslie was the messiah. So the firing of Leslie was also an issue, which whether or not it was completely true, probably take it once again with a grain of salt. Because right now they are treating him like the messiah, so maybe not. Error 505 and Error 503 was a glitch which people were trying to log in from from actually the Steam version, found themselves stuck at the loading screen with Error 503 and could not log in. This ultimately just killed the PC version and just made the game very unpopular. The shutdown of Blocksworld. Blocksworld was not much to Linden at this point, which was at the point of around 2018 or so. It was extremely unpopular, and while they probably looked at options that included fixing it, it probably wasn't worth it. Server shutdown. On June 17, 2020, Linden had silently shut down the Blocksworld servers. The app would soon be removed from Steam and the App Store. Players got a message telling them that the Blocksworld server is under service. However, Blocksworld was shut down for good. What was once a vibrant, funny, creative game you could play with friends had turned to this. Linden Labs has now moved all development to Second Life, a simulator game like The Sims. As of now, Blocksworld is officially gone. However, a modified, unofficial version server exists. That's it, really. That's all that happened to Blocksworld, from both the wiki and from my own experiences. So I'll leave you off with this. If you ever want to make a game or a platform like Roblox or like what Blocksworld was, the most I could say is moderate it. I think that was the biggest issue Linden had with their game. They never moderated it. Very few moderation ultimately ended in their failure, as well as the community getting far more toxic, with drama wars happening, like I said, the Blocksworld wars, and a lot of other issues that came into play. This would eventually lead to Blocksworld's fall, and as of right now, with the plug being pulled, I don't think we're ever going to really see another Blocksworld other than the unofficial versions. Because Blocksworld, as it remains, probably was a game of its time. A game of simplicity and sandbox kind of building. You could do anything in Blocksworld. And now it's gone. So that's really it, Chief. Sorry to leave you on such a sad note. I guess if there ever is another Blocksworld, I would like to play it. I would like to relive the days of old. This was a nice deep delve into my nostalgia and probably a nice change of pace for what I'm doing on my channel. I've been wanting to look into doing these kinds of reviews for a little while now, so I really hope that this does well, and I hope you guys liked it. Comment down below what you might want me to see, what you might want to see next with these games, and I'll try to do it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Crusader King, and I'll see you in the next video.